This week's question of the week, courtesy of Laura and Izzy's podcast, Drinking Stuff with Drinkstuff, is what's the difference between cubed ice and crushed ice? Well, the simple answer is cubed ice is a lot bigger than crushed ice. There we go, end of video. No, I'm joking. Look, if you haven't watched or listened to Laura and Izzy's podcast, Drinking Stuff with Drinkstuff, they drop it every Monday. You can watch it on YouTube or you can listen to it in your earbuds on Spotify and iTunes. It's great, great laugh. They're going through different guides, top 100 cocktails, but there's always a question that pops up every week. This week was, Steve, what's the difference between cubed and crushed? Right. Let me just take you through this. It's not too scientific, it's not too technical. Obviously, cubed ice is a lot bigger than crushed ice, so it's going to take a lot longer to melt and a lot longer to dilute. We would traditionally shake with cubed ice. Now, a lot of bartenders may say we never shake with crushed ice. That's not true. I'll explain in a second. We do sometimes shake with crushed ice. But traditionally, we would shake with cubed ice because cocktails are all about ratios. So therefore, we know we're going to get a little bit of dilution with shaking with cubed ice, but if we shook with crushed ice, we're going to get a lot more dilution, and that will take ruin the sort of balance of the cocktail. So traditionally, we do shake with cubed ice. Again, serving cocktails up, once we have that required sort of the ratios and the required dilution, we don't traditionally want to add any more dilution to that. So that's why we load a glass up with as much cubed ice as we can, because the more ice in your drink, the more big, fat, chunky ice in your glass, the longer it takes to melt, therefore the drink stays colder for longer. So that's kind of where we've used cubed ice. Now, crushed ice comes into effect in certain cocktails. Take like the Bramble, for instance, that I've just actually shot today. The Bramble is obviously, you do kind of shake a little bit of the cocktail, but then the Bramble is served up over crushed ice because it doesn't release that little bit of extra dilution over time, over a couple of minutes, because obviously the ice is colder, less surface area, therefore it's just going to melt quicker. Now again, we come down to tiki cocktails, swizzles and all that sort of stuff as well is traditionally crushed ice, and a lot of rum cocktails, a lot of tiki cocktails are blended, and there's two reasons we use crushed ice when we're kind of blending cocktails. For that, again, for the dilution, you can, if you haven't got crushed ice, you can add a little bit of water. I think even Difford's guide at some points says a little bit of chilled water. That's purely because the original recipe may have been crushed ice. But again, we would blend with crushed ice because we don't want to damage the blades in our blender. If we blended with big fat chunky ice like that, you stand a risk of kind of damaging your blender. Whereas if we blend with cubed ice, with crushed ice, you kind of get it. Now, there's a difference between flash blending for tiki cocktails and frozen cocktails as well. Again, frozen cocktails, it's a lot easier to blend with crushed ice because it is smaller. You will get that kind of slush puppy effect a lot easier than you will do with cubed ice. So that is kind of the traditional kind of uses. Again, stirring drinks as well. We would rarely ever stir a drink like a martini, for instance, a gin martini, vodka martini. We would rarely ever stir a drink with crushed ice, again, because it's too small, it will melt too quick and add more dilution. So stirring cocktails, we would use big fat chunky ice like that, again, because stirring cocktails is, yes, it's adding a tiny bit of dilution, but it's all about bringing it down to temperature, the right kind of chill factor, and we need cubed ice for that. So that's the big difference between cubed and crushed ice. At the end of the day, there's no real right or wrong. If you're making cocktails at home, use whatever you've got to hand, but crushed ice will have its uses in certain cocktails, as well as cubed ice will have its uses in other cocktails as well. So don't think there's never a place for them. Both, they do go hand in hand. Me as bar, I've got 3 sizes of ice. I have even bigger chunks of ice like that for my bigger sort of rocks glasses, but you don't have to. Get that. If you can't buy it, just get a bag and a whacker, a mallet thing. You can make your own crushed ice at home. Really easy. Hope that's answered your question. Don't forget to listen to Drinking Stuff with Drinkstuff, Laura and Izzy, and I will see you next week for another question.